Okay, so this is tutorial 4, and we're going to dive right on into Illustrator and get started. Um, First of all, I think you did a great job on your exercises and on your exercise on doing your name and kind of manipulating that type. You did a great job. Hopefully, you're being able to use what you're learning for that from the last tutorial, and you'll be able to use some of that information from that and then kind of incorporate it into this tutorial. So as we go on, I'm going to kind of refer to things that you should already know now from that past tutorial. So kind of moving on. To kind of summarize what we did last time, we did the direct selection tool and the selection tool. Selection tool, you remember, selects shapes. Direct selection tool selects points. Magic wand tool selects everything like itself, so everything like in color. Now we're going to dive down in here and we're going to just get right into the pen tool. Okay, so the pen tool is probably the most I'm going to say one of the hardest tools to learn in Illustrator, but I think you can handle it. I'm going to show you a little bit of it right now, and then we may go back to it a little bit later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if you press your caps lock on, this is what your cursor may look like. If you press it again, this is what it may look like. I'm just going to do it as it looks right here, as a pen. So put on your caps lock or turned off however you feel like you would like to see it. So basically, the pen tool is basically a set of points, okay? And those points connect to each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you real quick how to draw a square. All right, and then I want you to press pause, and then I want you to try it. Okay, so and then we'll get harder and harder and harder. All right, so the first thing is, you remember a square when you selected the points. When you saw that, it's actually connected with 4 points. Okay, so those 4 points are drawn. The computer already draws those points. Okay, so the pen tool, if you wanted to draw a set of points, you're going to go click and let go. Let me do that again. I'm going to click and let go of my cursor. Okay. If you clicked and started to move it, then nothing's going to happen. It's this kind of weird, it's going to pull. Okay. But what you want to do is you want to click and let go. And then you want to take it to another location. So I don't know if you play basketball or softball or anything like that, but let's pretend like you play basketball, okay? And pretend like I have the ball right here. I'm going to click and let go, but I'm going to pass it over here to my teammate. And I'm going to click and let go. Now I've created a line, and I can make another point somewhere else. I'm going to click and let go. Okay. I am not holding down my mouse or my trackpad at all. My hands are free. Okay. And I'm going to click and let go. I'm not holding down my mouse. And now I'm going to close it. Okay. You always want to close a shape in Illustrator. And I'll show you why here in just a second, but I'm going to close it, and the way you know it's closed is if this little circle appears. So it says I'm closed. So I just go and I click it and I let go. So that's how you create a square. Now here's some tricks. This is not a perfect square by any means. This is straight, this is straight, this starts to not be straight, and this starts to not be straight, right? So if I want to start over, if I hold shift, I'm going to click and let go. I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to click. I'm going to hold shift, click, shift, click, shift. Now, that's a little kind of off, right? Because that But if I move this over ever so slightly, okay, let's see if we can get this. There are some other tricks. If you go Command R, it brings up your rulers. If I wanted to come over here to the side and just drag my ruler over, I could. And that shows that I'm not center, right? So if I kind of move this over, now I'm just using my arrows at the bottom. So I've clicked it. Remember when you clicked it and you did the letters, right? Anything that turns blue, that means you're selected. That point is selected. So right here, the only thing that's selected is this blue point, not this one, right? So then what you do is you go back to your pen tool, you select it, and then you come back up, hold shift, select that point. Now you have a closed shape, okay? So there's a square, okay? Now, so this is square. I want you to press pause, and I want you to try and draw as many shapes as you can that are straight. I mean, not a ton, not 100 or anything like that, but, you know, 3 or 4 shapes, okay? So there's a square. Here's a triangle, okay? We could do a trapezoid or anything like that, okay? Anything that has straight shapes, just start drawing them, okay? Get used to it. Now, draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter, okay? Now go ahead and press pause and do that for a minute. Okay, now that you've done that, what I want you to do is, well, I'm going to go ahead and delete these, all right? You don't have to delete those yet, but I want to kind of show you the difference between what a closed shape looks like and one that does not, okay? So right now, here's a shape, and you can't tell, but it's actually filled white, okay? But you can't tell because it's on the white background. Let me go ahead and make it blue, okay? So right now, it's a closed shape. It's not a closed shape, and there's a blue fill and a black stroke. Now, it's not great because this actually, it's going to mess up here. See, there's different things happening right in here. It doesn't complete the stroke, so that's not black. So you want to really close your shapes, okay? So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to close it back up. And there it is, okay? This little arrow right here, this says that you want to swap the fill and the stroke, and you can do that. So we can do that, right? If you want to make it whatever color you want, okay? So that is how you make straight shapes. You come in with your pen tool, click, drag, click, 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 clicking all over, right? And they're straight shapes. Now, the hardest part about this is creating a curve, okay? Now, if you've ever played basketball, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody when they're about to pass, but they kind of pivot on their foot, kind of pass it over to the left, somebody's not open, and they want to pass it over to their right instead where somebody's open. So they're pivoting on their foot, all right? Keep that in mind as I kind of pretend like I'm playing basketball up here, okay? So I'm going to first lay down, the first thing that you always do before you draw anything is you're just going to lay down a point. You're not gonna hold down your mouse, anything like that. You're just going to lay it down. You're going to click it and let go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come somewhere over here, okay? So pretend like I have the basketball, and I'm going to pass over here. You always want to pass it somewhere, okay? Whenever you pass it, the thing with drawing a curved line is you have to know that you're about to make a curved line before you make it. And the reason you do is because you don't let go of your mouse. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to click and not let go. My mouse is holding down. I'm holding down my mouse, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push and I'm going to pull. And what happens is when I push and pull, there's going to be 3 points. Here's one right here, 1. There's one right here, 2. And there's one here, 3. Okay? You're going to have 3 points once you let that go. I want you to always go back to the center one, and we're going to do what's called anchoring it up. Okay? And we're going to click. And now you only have 2 points. You have this one and you have this one. It kind of sets you back to start. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to straight. Now next one I'm going to do a curve line. So I'm going to click, not let go. I'm going to push and I'm going to pull. I'm going to push and I'm going to pull. Let me show you what happens if you don't go to that middle line. Okay? I'm going to let go. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to not anchor back up. So what I did was I let go. But see, what happens is your computer automatically throws a curve in there for you. So even if you didn't want one, it's going to give you one. So if I went, click, hold. Let me show you. I'm going to click, I'm going to let go. Slide over. I'm going to hold my mouse. I'm going to push and pull, push and pull. Just get in the habit of going and anchoring up to the middle point. Click and let go. Now, keep going. Click, click, click. Next one, I'm going to click and hold. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. I'm going to go to the middle. I'm going to click and I'm going to let go. Make sure you let go. Now go over here. Click, 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 click. I want to make a curve, so I'm pushing down my mouse and I'm going to push, pull, right? And you can get pretty detailed if you wanted to, okay? And this is what I do. So I use the mouse, and I draw things in Illustrator all the time. In fact, I redrew that Park's bird, just with the pen tool. So that is how you use the pen tool. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you another exercise right now. Okay, and I want you to do this. So a circle is made up of 4 points. Okay. If I go here, circle is made up of 4 points. All right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want you to create circles only using your pen tool. Okay. So if I have one here, don't go here and go like this, or you're going to create some weird looking shape, right? It's made up of 4 points. Okay. So it's up here. Okay. Here. Here. Now, that's not perfect. In fact, that kind of stinks, right? Well, just like you've used the shift button for everything, all things to make center or straight, it's the same thing with this. So if you click and let go, you're going to let go, okay? Because you're not pushing and pulling yet. You're going to click and let go. You always start a shape like that. And you're going to slide over, and I'm actually going to press, I'm going to click, okay, and hold. And I'm going to push and I'm going to pull. Okay, I'm not holding shift, but I'm going to push and pull. Okay. And then I'm going to don't do that. Don't do that on that one. Just don't hold shift yet. So just do this. So I want you to just create the most perfect circle that you can make. Okay. And I want you to try and figure out how you would do that. You can use your guides over here if you want. You could pull your guides over. You can pull the top one down too, okay? So if you needed to do something like this, it's not great, but you can go in and you can manipulate these a little bit if you want, okay? But I want you to see when you start to manipulate, if you touch this, one of these points, you can actually, you're pulling or pushing these little anchor lines sitting out, okay? Once you do that, you can kind of push and pull. You can make that a better circle if you wanted, okay? Just by manipulating those points. The pen tool is really tough, okay? For anybody that hasn't used it, it's incredibly tough to kind of master, but it's going to take some time for you if you've never used it before, but that's okay. That's what you have, is you have time, okay? So you can play with it and learn it. And so this is a really good exercise to do just by drawing circles and getting used to it. The hardest thing that's going to happen that is going to be frustrating if you've never used this before is it's going to be frustrating because you're going to think, okay, this is what I do, is I take it and I push and pull. Remember, don't do that. You're going to click and let go. And just move your mouse around. And now hold the button down and push and pull your mouse. Okay, you're going to hold, don't let go. Now you remember 1, 2, 3. You're going to go to the middle, anchor it up, and then come over here, push and pull. Okay, I'm not letting go. Okay, anchor it up. I'm holding down my mouse and I'm going to push and I'm going to pull. Okay, anchor it up, go over here, push and pull. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to press pause and I want you to draw 4 circles, okay? I want you to try to do that. Okay, go ahead and do that. Okay, now what I want you to do now is, so that's the pen tool, okay? Now you have these other tools down here, and I'm going to let you play with that kind of on your own time, but I'll show it to you really quickly. If I had like a square, let's say, or even so, let's just say I have a square. All right, this tool right here says add an anchor point. If you wanted to, right now, I could take this direct selection tool. You remember the one that selects the points? I could come over here, take my direct selection tool, take it and move it out, right? I can do whatever I want because I'm manipulating those points, okay? If I wanted to add an anchor point, I could add one right in here on that line, and I could come in and I could take that and I could move that. But what's really cool is you could actually add an anchor point, and then you can make that anchor point curved. So if I touch it, then you can do that. And that's pretty rad right there. That's when it starts to get really interesting, and that's pretty advanced, but that's what you can do. So I want you to play around a little bit today. After watching this video, I want you to play around with all these different types of tools. I want you to come in here and play with that, okay? So that's the pen tool, all right? And you're going to have questions about it. I know you're going to. So don't hesitate to ask me. Don't hesitate to ask me on chat, through Gmail, anything you want. You can text me, whatever. Now, let me show you the type tool one more time. So type tool, I just want to kind of briefly go over this very quickly. All right, the type tool is really cool, all right? So, I showed you the type tool where you're just going to click and you're going to write your name, right? You're going to kind of, okay, we're going to say, what's a good thing? I like to eat. I said cheeseburger, so now I'm going to say pizza today. Okay, so came in here, pizza, right? So right now, this right here just allows for you, it's called the type tool. The thing in Illustrator that you need to think about is they I'm not going to say dumb it down, but I think they really try to make it in as easiest terms as possible. They really try to make it user friendly. So if you don't know what something is, just hover your cursor over the button and it's going to tell you exactly what it is. So this is the type tool. Remember, if you didn't know where I had this, this is extra buttons underneath the type tool. So let me just show you all these, okay? This is the type tool, okay? Let me see here. This is the area type tool. Type on a path tool, vertical type tool, vertical area type tool, vertical type on a path tool, and touch type tool. I never use the touch type tool. I don't even think I know what that is, but I've never used it before. So type tool. All right. So that is just a regular boom, and we've written out pizza. All right. So that's a regular type tool, okay? Area type tool is exactly what it says. Area type tool. Basically what this means is it types within an area. So if I had a given area that I had, now right now it's black, right? It has a black fill and no stroke. Let's just turn this to a black stroke. If I went over here and I did the area type tool and I clicked within that area, it will type within that area only. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's go to the next one. Type on a path tool. So let's go back, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. When you draw something with your pen tool, this is actually called a path. So that's exactly what that says. Type on a path tool allows for you to type on that path. And you come in and you can make it larger or smaller, anything that you want to do. So let's just do that real quick. Let's come on in and make it larger or smaller, okay? So that's type on a path tool, so that's really cool. Vertical type tool, it's exactly what it says. Vertical, types vertically. So what do you think? Vertical area type tool, types vertically in an area, right? So I'm gonna let you play with those. Vertical area type tool, I'm gonna make a square. I'm going to get the vertical area type tool, and it's just gonna allow for me to type vertically in an area. Same with vertical type on a path tool. It's gonna allow for me to type vertically on a path, okay? So you play with those, have fun with those, okay? Play with this one, play with that. Your line tool, I don't really honestly use any of these tools because I just make the line with my pen. So sure, that's like a given, like here, make a line, but it's just easier to take a pen, and if you want to draw a straight line, which I constantly am drawing straight lines. So if I'm doing like a form for someone, or, you know, and I need to make a straight line, let's say that somebody has a form and it's like, name, type your name here. Well, you don't want to like do this all the way, right? So what we do, our group says, okay, look, we're just going to make a line. So I go click, I let go, I'm going to hold shift, come over, and I'm going to make a line. Now right now you're not going to see the line very well, but if you went and did this, this isn't actually a stroke. So this is a stroke, okay? And you can make that stroke larger or smaller, okay? So that's pretty cool, all right? So you're not going to use an arc tool or spiral tool. I mean, what you're going to do is you're going to get it, and you're going to want to have so much fun with it, and you can, and you should go ahead and just get that all out of your system. But really, these are things that you can make with a pen. Now, occasionally I'll have something like this or make something like that, and that's kind of cool. Rectangular grid tool, I rarely use, but you can use it, of course. Everything that you have, you can double click on it. So for instance, the spiral tool, if I double clicked on it, so basically what this is like if I clicked on this and then double clicked on my artboard, then it kind of tells you, hey, I want this many segments, and it'll make it that many segments. Or you can say, hey, I want it 30 segments, and it'll do that. So that's pretty cool. So let's kind of get rid of all that. Now you saw what I just deleted. Let me kind of go back and show you how I did that. If you take your black arrow and you just kind of create kind of like a square, anything within that square is going to delete. You don't have to go all the way out. Anything within that square is going to delete because it just selects it as a shape. If you select it with your indirect selection tool, then it will just get the points, right? So over here on your shape tool, you have all these different shapes too, okay? So, and play with those. So you have rounded rectangle, I use that a lot. Ellipse, you have ellipse. So if I want to do like a sticker or something, if somebody says, hey, you need to do a sticker 3 inches by 3 inches, all I do is I take the ellipse tool and I double click and I say 3 inches by 3 inches. And there's my 3 inch by 3 inch circle. Easy. There you go. All right. So there's a polygon tool. You can say, I want I want 8 sides, and there's a polygon. All right. Star, everything. Okay. Your flare tool is just a tool that kind of gives it a little bling. There's really not going to be a time for you to use it, honestly, unless you get into some heavy duty illustration work. But the flare tool is often used for big illustration work. So nothing like, you never want to use it in a logo. You're never going to want to use it in like only just like illustration work. So sometimes, they have illustrations for CD covers or packages or anything like that. It kind of gives it a little kind of glare. So for instance, if I had a circle and that circle was, let's say, I don't know, blue. Okay. And I wanted to put like a little bit of a bling in there to make it like glow. This right here, this flare, basically you click it. I know that looks insane, but you click it and you drag, okay? And that kind of allows for you to kind of have this little flare. It's really cheesy and you really shouldn't use it. So let's just get that out of the way, all right? Play with it, get it out of your system, and then move on. You're never going to use this right here, the curvature tool, so don't even go down there. Brush stroke. It's just what it says. It's a brush. You can click that, and you can come over here to your stroke, and you can, actually, no, wait. So brushes, so let me just tell you this. So brushes are interesting. So they have, up here in the window menu, you have brushes. So if I went to brushes, then it gives me kind of this palette, okay? Within these palettes, you also have these 3 little bars right here. And that might tell you different things. Like you can go into, like this is a preset brush. So if I selected it with my black arrow and did this, then it's going to make it larger. I'm gonna make the stroke larger, and that kind of has given me this kind of stroke. I can select it. It can be this, it can be that. I mean, there's so many kind of preset strokes in there. Or you can come over here to brush library, and you can open brush library, and there's a bunch of other kind of preset brushes. Now, you can buy brush libraries. People do that a lot. But I don't really do that a whole lot. There's like artistic ink. I do use this quite a bit. Use this. That's pretty fun to do. So if I want to create like a texture of some sort, then you can come in here and you can do that. One of the cool things that's another kind of tool to have kind of at your disposal is a transparency tool. So the transparency tool allows for you to make things opaque. Okay, I know I'm throwing a ton at you right now, but just let it soak in. You don't have to learn it all tonight, but or tomorrow or whenever, but I do want you to really think about this tutorial and how much you can get from it. So if I come up here, there is a transparency palette. It's under the window, transparency. And this basically allows for you to say, okay, I want to make this actually 50% opaque. So that kind of, you can make it lower in opacity. You can change the color. You can do whatever you want, and then you can make it lower. You can do, I definitely use the opacity all the time in things. So if I had a green box and I wanted to be able to see through it, well, then I'm going to make it opaque, right? So it's like adding water to watercolor, kind of. How do you make it clear almost? So that's the transparency tool. Here's your brushes. Again, you can go in there and use the brush. Don't use the blob brush yet. I don't even know how to teach that, to be completely honest, but I just really, I don't really know what the use of it is. But I think what happens is, I think when you draw, and then you make sort of something, everything that it creates more of a, see, it's using it as a stroke, but don't do that right now. So just stick with the tools that I'm telling you for right now, all right? This tool, it's your pencil. I mean, you can have a pencil if you want, but again, I really actually rarely use this tool. I actually rarely use any of these tools right here. This is a brand new tool, the shaper tool, but really you can use these on your own. But I don't. I use the ones that I'm showing you. I use all the time. The pen tool all the time. The shape tool all the time. Text tool all the time. These up here all the time. So these two I really just don't use a whole lot. The rotate tool rarely, because when you draw something, let's say I just drew this shape and you select it, if you hover your cursor over here on the corner, it automatically kind of comes up with this arrow and you can rotate it yourself. I don't ever use that. The only time that I use would be like the reflection tool. So I'll kind of give you a good idea here. So let's say that I wanted to type out shadow, okay? And let's just change it to some good, look at shadow here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna hold Option, copy, slide this down. Actually, I'm holding Option and then Shift, right? Because I'm gonna slide this down. And there's a reflection tool, so you can reflect it and flip it. Okay. Now, I would only use it for that, and I would kind of scoot it under, and I would probably reflect its own thing. Well, the cool thing about this is you need to also use your knowledge that you have just around the world around you, right? So this says shadow, but shadows are not 100% black. They're opaque, right? So let's take this down a little bit, okay? And shadows are actually, they're not going to be straight down. Let's kind of do what's called shearing. So shearing is kind of putting it at an angle. If I look under here, this is called the scale tool, and I'll show you that in a little bit, but shear is right here. If you hold Shift down and kind of start to move it, you can see that there's a shadow, okay? And now I just sheared it, and that is making that shadow. Now, shadows are also blurry, right? They're not usually very crisp. They're kind of blurry. So that's what this menu up here is. There's some really cool effects in here. So I want you to just play with these all day tomorrow, right up in here. Don't get crazy. Just get it out of your system, okay? But you have, like, up here, it's called the blur tool. So you can do a Gaussian blur. And you can push this out. Let's preview it. And you can kind of push it out to a couple of pixels. And you can kind of see what that does. And it's a really, really, really cool tool. You can make it smaller if you want, so it looks like it's really sitting on there. And so that's how you create a shadow. It's pretty awesome, okay? So all I did was I typed it out. I copied and I pasted it down, right? I made the transparency smaller. I sheared it. I put a Gaussian blur on it. And there's my shadow, okay? Now this is like pretty advanced, but I actually think you can do that. So I want you to stop for a minute. I want you to play with that, and I want you to try and do that real quick, okay? So press pause and do that. Now we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you something that sometimes you're going to have a time where maybe you have something and you want to make it really, really small or really, really large. And so you shrink it down, or you make it smaller, and you make it bigger, you make it smaller. You see how the stroke right here? Let me see something real quick. Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep this like this. All right. You see how this stroke is right here? Let me make it a little bigger. I'm going to make this a small size now. You see how thick that stroke is? It keeps getting thicker and thicker. You're going to be weirded out. Like, Emily, I don't know what's happening. You always want to make sure, if you get that happening to you, come over here to your tool palette, and it may already be set the way that it should be, but it may not. If you double click on this, you need to make sure that this is checked. So I'm going to check that. Scale strokes and effects. That basically says I need for the stroke to scale with the same ratio as the shape. So I'm going to click OK. So now when I make it smaller, it'll stay the same. The way that it should be is a big, kind of goes the same. Okay. So that's, you just really want to make sure that that is checked. Scale, strokes, and effects. All right. So shear tool, you're going to use that all the time. You're not going to use that all the time. But you can do some fun things with that when it's needed. Okay. This tool right here, you just need to get out of your system. It's really not going to be a big time to get it, to use these, but I would just get it out of the system. So I'm just going to show you what they are. So don't worry about the width tool right now, but warp tool, these are all warping tools that kind of, you just press your mouse in and pull it out. Twirl tool, it's pretty funky, pretty cool. Pucker tool, there's all these tools, so just play with that in there. It's fun. You're not going to mess it up. You're not going to mess up Illustrator, okay? I promise you. But just play with that in there. Your width tool is essentially like you can control the width. Now this tool I am kind of just starting to play with a little bit, and I think that there are times that it can be really helpful. And I would probably do it more with like type than anything. So if I had a width tool, I would probably, well, the first thing you need to do is anytime that you want to mess with type, you remember what you do. You go to type, create outlines, object, ungroup, remember? So what you want to do is you just want to say, okay, let me just make it like this. I just want to see if this works here. If I come in with my width tool, and I can come in and I can make certain strokes bigger or smaller. And I think that can be really, really beneficial and kind of neat in some instances. So play around with that. Okay, so now we're gonna skip a bunch of stuff. Okay, so this, don't use this yet. This, don't use this yet. This, do not use this yet. There's no reason for you to use this quite yet. This is a perspective selection tool, and I'm hesitant to show you it just because it's pretty rad, but it's also kind of very advanced, so I'll do it on a different tutorial, just for like extra things to do. But the gradient tool, there really is not going to be a time for you to use it. People want to use it all the time when they first start, but honestly, it's really, it's a little cheesy, and there's really not a time to use a gradient except for in illustration work, unless you're creating some sort of like background for something. But so let's kind of not go on that right now. Eyedropper tool, I use this all the time. All right, so an eyedropper tool basically selects color and anything that is like a shape. So for instance, let me just put blue. So let's say that I want this square right here to be this blue. How do I make that square this blue? I just take the eyedropper and I suck it out. Okay. But this has to be selected. So if I want this shape to be this blue, I select that shape with the black arrow. I take my eyedropper and I suck it out. Okay. Now, what's cool about this that I didn't know until I started, I kind of came on accident like 20 years ago when I was playing around with it. But so I have always been fascinated with typography, and I just would come in here and I would play around and I would figure out different types and but then I was really interested in the eyedropper tool and realized that it actually sucks out fonts. How weird is that? So you can take this and you can do the color all day long. You can, if you like something. So like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll get like on Pinterest. Okay, if I'm trying to do a specific logo, is I'll look up color palettes. And I'll find out color palettes that I like, maybe color schemes. So let's just take this one and I drag it to my desktop. Okay, and whoops, wait a minute. So I'll just take it, I drag it to my desktop, and what I do is I actually just drag it straight on into Illustrator, which is really cool. And it just is looking at it as a JPEG. Now don't forget, like Illustrator is only looking at this as a square. It's not looking at it as an image, nothing like that. So that's why you don't want to really work with images in Illustrator. It's only reading it as a square. But you can use attributes from this in order to play around with things that you have. So for instance, let's say that I really wanted to use my eyedropper tool, but I really wanted this color type to be this. So I can do that. So that's pretty cool. And so that's how you can get some really awesome color, is you can grab things from Pinterest. I do it all the time, and I use that color palette. And another really cool thing that does it, it also sucks up the font. So let's say that I have this, but I want this to be this font in this color, but I want it up here. So like for instance, let's say that this is the word gray, okay, but I really want it to look like this. I can actually I can select this with my black arrow, and I can take my magic wand and I can actually take that and it sucks it up. It doesn't suck up the word, it sucks up the font and the color. Okay, so that's really interesting thing that you can kind of play with. And same thing was here. Still says gray, but I sucked it up with this right in here, here, and here. See, that's pretty neat. So those are really interesting things to work on. So let's see here. So the other tools down here, you don't really need to worry about. Again, like, so the next tool is called a blending tool. All it is if I created something, it could be type, it could be shape, it could be anything. Well, it's only going to ever be a shape, okay? Because you can turn type into a shape, right? So let's say that I wanted to blend this to here. That's what this tool is. If I click that and say from here, so this is what you do. If I click on this button and say I want click to here, then it blends it, okay? Now that's a solid blend. If I double click on this, that's a smooth color. It can also be specified steps. So let's say I want 10 steps, okay? Actually, let's do like 5 steps so you can kind of see. So I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to go Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, okay? And I'm going to go from here to here. Whoops, wait. Let me make sure there's specified steps. Let's do like 4, okay? So let's go from here to here. So there, so you can see, okay, there's 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the middle. Now if you want it, separated a little bit longer, then you go from here to here, and there you go, okay? It's a gradient in the steps, right? So that's kind of cool. Symbol sprayer, you're really not going to use a whole lot at all. They used to use a symbol sprayer all the time because you would load up all your logos for all your clients within your symbol sprayer palette. So what it is right in here. You have symbols, and you basically just take it, you grab a symbol, and you spray it. And what it is designers would come in and they would load all these like all the logos that are the clients that they had. They just kind of load it, and they just, they'd say that, they would spray it, boom, they'd spray it. You can make it larger if you wanted to, and it's like it's a very cheesy thing, but I never use a symbol sprayer unless I'm doing some sort of illustration for something. Then I'm not really going to use it. You have a symbol library down here, and there's lots of different things in here that you can play with. So definitely look in there and see, what are some cool things that are already there. But there's not a whole lot of manipulation that you can do with the symbols. They've changed them a little bit where you can start to manipulate them, but not a whole lot. So that's kind of cruddy. But column graph tool is more like you literally can make graphs and stuff, but that is not me. And that's not what we're going to be doing today or anything like that. Your artboard tool, we talked about that. Slice tool, don't worry about that at all. You do not need to know this right now. Hand tool, remember you did that zooming in, zooming out. And your zoom tool, zoom in, zoom out. This goes to default black and white. So if I had, right now I have a blue fill, no stroke. If you click this, there's a white fill and a black stroke. There's an automatic gradient as well. But again, don't worry about that yet. I don't really want you to use the gradients yet. Okay, if at all. So let's see here. What else do I need to show you? Okay, so I'm going to give you your first assignment. Okay, your first project. And this project is a fake project, but the one that you will do after this, well, I'm not sure if it'll be... I may give you another just kind of exercise or fake project after that, but then after that you will have a real world project that we're going to put you on. Just trying to kind of get you up to speed, and then we'll get you probably going to do a business card, which I think you saw that on there. But not quite yet. So I want you to do that in probably InDesign, but I may have you do it in Illustrator. So we'll just see. Okay, buddy. So this is what I want you to do. Okay. So hopefully, this is going to be a long video. It's going to be almost an hour. But it's a lot of information that I just threw at you. So I expect for you that it may take you a couple of hours to go through this, play around, really get comfortable with everything. And then what I want you to do is I'm actually going to have you create some icons. So I want you to create, and let me just kind of show you what icons are, okay? So icons are literally like, let me just type in the word icon, okay? So icons are just little tiny things, right, that represent certain things, okay? But you're going to create your own. These are already like prefab ones. They're already made up, okay? You can go on anything and grab them. Sometimes we buy them, but generally we draw them out. Or sometimes we also use a really cool website called the Noun Project, and that's what I want you to do. So I'm going to have you create, I want you to create 5 icons, okay, that you get off Noun. Well, wait, I'm going to have you create 5 Noun Project icons. Let me take you there. You're going to go to this website, nounproject.com, okay? And I have a login, and I'll give you that login, okay? I'll post that in Basecamp for you. And what you're going to do, and this is the world's best design website ever. You can think of anything you want. Let's say beach. Type in beach, and icons pop up like crazy. But they're all black and white. And the cool thing with Noun Project is you can come on here and you can change the color and you can do certain things, but I don't want you to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to download icons, already drawings. They're not even icons really. They're just drawings, which is cool, but I turn them into icons. So, and we're going to do that. We're going to create an icon. So, and I'm going to show you ways on how to do that. So let's say that we like beach. Okay, here. Let's just do something simple like, let's see here. Let's do this one. Okay. This one's weird, right? No, I don't like that one. Let's do beach. Okay. This is more like an island or whatever, right? Okay, so I don't like that one either. Lord have mercy. Okay. Let's do this one. All right. Beach. All right. So we're going to take this and you're going to click on it after you log into my account. You're going to take this and I want you to download the PNG. You're going to download it. It's going to shoot up here to your arrow. You're going to kind of click that and find it. So what I do is I find it and I always drag it to my desktop. Okay. So let's do another one. Let's do soccer. Okay. There's a soccer ball. I'm going to click that, download the PNG. It's going to shoot up here. I'm going to click on this arrow. I'm going to click on this finding thing. It's right here. And I'm going to download it. Okay, and drag it. Now you're going to do that 5 times. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick 5 icons that represent you. Whatever you want to do. Whatever Sydney is representing, I want you to do 5 icons that tell me a little bit about you. Okay. So let's pretend like I like to go to the beach and I play soccer, and none of this is true, by the way. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag it. You have so this is what we're actually going to do. Don't say. All right. I am actually going to take, not that. I'm actually going to come in here. I'm going to create a new document. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to create a brand new document. And I want you to do let's do 4 inches by 4 inches. Okay. I'm going to have you create 5 artboards. Okay. Say okay. All right. So here's my 5 artboards. Okay. Now, each artboard is going to be representative of your icon, different icon. You're going to have 5 icons, okay? So I'm going to drag this soccer ball here, and it's huge. It's huge. So we take our black arrow, and we bring it down, and make sure you hold shift. You're going to kind of place it, each one of your icon that you got as kind of like a prefab, and you're going to drag it into each artboard, okay? So you can do that for 5 different icons, okay? 5 different prefab drawings. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create 5 icons. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to create your own icon, not using Noun Project at all. You're going to use the pen tool to create your own icon, okay? And you can do it with whatever you want, okay? So this right here, okay, is how I want you to do this. And what you're going to do is you're going to do 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do this. All right, so with Illustrator, let me get here how I need. Okay. So in Illustrator, you're going to have, you might not have all the things up here that should be. So you need to kind of play around with this. You maybe have Essentials Classic. Let's do Essentials Classic. Okay, so, and this screen up here will pop up. All right, so the really cool thing about Illustrator is that if you bring in a JPEG or a PNG, you can click on it. When you click on it with your black arrow, you have this thing up here, and you want to do this thing called image trace. Okay, I'm going to give you some steps here, so you need to write these down. You're going to click image trace, and what it did is it just traced this out. Okay? When you hit image trace, I then want you to hit this expand. Okay? See right over here, this is just a square. It's not looking at it as anything. But now what I did is I created it as an image. I'm sorry, as a vector or points. So let me go back and show you that one more time. Okay, so if I click this, I'm going to go to image trace and then expand. When you hit expand, you always want to go to object, ungroup. Okay? It's the same thing as when you do type, create outlines. You want to go type, create outlines, object, ungroup. There's these different kinds of like this to this to this. Okay, and these are the things that you need to remember. Let's do it one more time. Click, image traced, expand, object, ungroup. This allows for you to take out the background. There's a white background here. And now you have this soccer ball, okay? And if you needed to select different things and change colors, you could, okay? But we're not gonna do that right now. Same thing with here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Image Trace, Expand, Object, Ungroup. You can take out the background, okay? So now you have like this. This is what you have right there, okay? So to create an icon, what I generally do is I put like a circle behind it or a square or something like that. You can put anything you want behind it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to create an icon and how to make a shadow on it to create more of like interest to your audience. So I'm going to create a circle using the circle tool. I'm going to put a color on it. Right now you can't see it because it's sitting in front of, remember you have objects that are in front of and behind. So I'm going to click OK. Uh-oh, it's gray. I wonder why. So if you have something like this, this is why. If you go to Window, Color, change it to CMYK. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Right now, okay, there we go. So I'm going to select that circle. Object, arrange, I'm going to send it to the back. These are how you arrange things. Object, arrange, send it all the way to the back. So now I have this, okay? I'm throwing a ton at you right now, and I'm hesitant to do that, but you can pause this, you can rewind it, you can do anything that you want. Rewind, I don't think you do that, and I don't even know, but you can pause it, you can do whatever you want. This is just a really long video, and you need to take your time tomorrow learning this, because this is like, I'm throwing like 3 or 4 classes at you in one, okay? So what we did is we took this circle and we threw it back behind this soccer ball. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some really, probably one of my favorite tools in Illustrator. It's a Pathfinder tool. So if you go to Window, Pathfinder, this is a palette, okay? Again, you need to explore all of these palettes in here. Okay, you're not going to mess it up. All right, so here's my Pathfinder palette. So Pathfinder allows for you to cut things up, basically. Okay, it also allows for you to join shapes. So if I had a circle here and a circle here, and I wanted these two to like join together to make one, right now they're two. If I selected both of them and went to like the shape mode, then now it's two. Okay, so this is really cool. Like if you're like gonna like maybe make clouds, like sometimes I make clouds like in coloring books and stuff like that. So then that's how I do that, and then I just come in and I make it like one, like one shape. You can do whatever you want with that. Okay, you can make one shape, and there's like a cloud. Okay, but the other really cool thing it does is it divides. So let's say I just wanted to make this a little bit more realistic and I wanted to create a shadow within here. Remember, Illustrator puts everything like as if it's like cut paper, right? So it's like objects on top of other objects. So if I took this and I wanted to create a shadow here, remember I'm just creating a shape. I just want to kind of show you what I'm going to do. Create this shape, okay? And shadows are darker than this. Like I want to make it look like there's a blue shadow on top of this blue. Basically, I want to make a shadow on the blue. So if I click, so right now I've made this shape using my pen tool. If I select this, come over here to my fill tool and kind of move it down just a little bit, and it's a little bit darker. Okay, maybe make it a little bit darker than that. All right, and I'm gonna object arrange. I'm gonna send it backwards, not back. I'm gonna send it backwards. Backwards allows for it to go behind one shape. Arrange, send backwards. Arrange, send backwards. So it's keeping going back behind several different shapes. Or what you can do is you can hold Command. Actually, I won't show you that yet. Best thing to do is this for you, is take this, object arrange, send to back, and it puts it behind this shape. Now take this shape, the big one, and go object arrange, send the back. So what you're doing is you're trying to get it's like you're moving paper on top of each other. Okay, so what you want is you want this shadow shape behind this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold shift, because you can select multiple shapes if you hold shift. So I'm going to hold shift down. I'm going to select this, hold shift. I'm going to select this, hold shift. Okay, now I have those two shapes selected, right? If I come over here and it's going to divide it. Once you divide it, Illustrator wants you to bring and group it. Once you divide something, Illustrator automatically brings everything and groups it together. So here's another list of things to do. You want to go to divide. Let me go back. Okay. Select. I'm holding shift. I'm going to go divide, and then I'm going to go to object, ungroup. Once I click ungroup, then it's divided this, and I can just hit delete. So there's like a little icon, which is really awesome. If I wanted to put a stroke around it, I could. It's kind of, endless. You can kind of do whatever you want with an icon. It's a really fun thing to do. We do icons all the time. Okay, but you can imagine like what this would look like, say, like on a website, right? So maybe it's a sports website, or maybe it's an urgent care website, and somebody goes in and they click because they give physicals, right? So sports physicals. So maybe somebody on my team says, hey, I need some icons for sports physical, flu vaccines. I need all these different things. So then that's what I would do, is I would get a list and I would do all these icons. You can do the same thing for something like this. It doesn't matter how really complex it is. You just can do that. And I want all of these icons to kind of go together. So if they're all in a circle, then you need to put them all in a circle, or if they're all in a square, put them all in a square, right? So this needs to change to CMYK again. I'm just going to kind of do this one real quick to show you. And again, it doesn't have to be all might have to change back to CMYK, just because these icons, once you download them, they really are automatically just black. So, but let's say that I want to do this, and I want to come in. I'll just do it in white. Let's do blue. You just have fun with it. Whatever you want to do. We can put a shadow on this. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to make it purple. I'm actually going to make it darker purple. And I'm going to send object arrange, send to back. I'm going to take this, object arrange, send to back. I take this, select, hold shift, select this. I know I'm going really fast, but it's okay. I'm going to hit divide, object, ungroup, take this, and you got a shadow, right? I don't like this stroke on that, so I'm going to take this off. But you can kind of see how you have fun, and that's how, you're going to be doing some icons, and I want you to have fun with it. So your homework is I want you to do 5 icons, and I want to see how you do with those. I want to see how your mind works, like what you end up coming up with, how you end up changing it. And I want you to, after you've done 5, what I want you to do, so you're going to have 5. So you're going to have 5 artboards. Actually, you're going to have 6 artboards. So do 6. But you're going to do 5 from Noun Project. And then I want you to do another one where you draw it. Okay? Use the pen tool. Have fun with it. Okay? So you're going to do 6 total icons. 5 from the Noun Project and 1 on your own. Okay? I mean, these are all on your own and they take just as long. But there's something fun that you can do tomorrow after you watch this video. I know it's long. It's now been over an hour. But it's a lot of information. So have fun doing these icons and post those when you're done. And the way that I want you to post those is just like this. I want you to save your document. Go to File, Save As. You're going to save it. Let's see here. I thought I made an internship one, but maybe I didn't. Okay, so what you're going to do is when you save it, oh, there it is, Documents. Okay, so when you save it in your internship folder. This one you're going to name Project 1, okay? And Project 1, you're going to name it what it is. Project 1 Icons, okay? That's how you're going to name it. Icons, okay? And then you're going to save it. You're going to save it as an AI file. AI file stands for Adobe Illustrator. After you've saved it, you're going to now export it as a PNG. So export as, let me show you again. File, export as. It's already named, but this what you're going to do. This is a big deal right here, so pay attention. You're going to use artboards, and you're going to do PNG, and what it does is it creates a new file, a different file for each icon, and you're going to say export, and you're going to take this dialog box is going to come up. You're going to go to transparent, and you're going to hit OK. And let me do it again so that I'm going to pretend like there is a different icon on every single thing. So let me like see if I can make it look like it's different. Just pretend like this is different, okay? Okay, so let's just pretend all this is different. I'm going to go to File, Export as, Project 1, use artboards, export. Make sure this is on transparent. It's at 300, it's at transparent, and hit OK. And say, yeah. Okay, so, and then what I want you to do is I want you to come over here to Basecamp, and you're going to go to, what is your thing called here? Internship, Sydney. Where you at, man? Here we go. All right, so you're going to come in here and you're going to go to Exercise 2, Icons. And you're going to take it and you're going to select the files. And I want you to select all of these PNGs, not the AI file, but all of these PNGs. And you're going to choose it. And it's going to load. Okay? After it's done, loading, it'll say right here, add this comment. Make sure you check my name and you say add this comment, okay? And then that'll be it, all right, which will be great. That's what your project is, or your exercise. I keep calling it a project, but you can call it exercise. Actually, I may change it to, yeah, well, let's just call it exercise. You can name your exercise 2 if you want. But you know what, let's keep it project 1. And I'll go ahead and change that within the, within here. I'll change it to Sydney. I will change this project 1 icons, okay? And I'm going to change this to real project. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. So you just don't get confused. So project one icons, make sure you add that. If you have any questions, let me know. I know I just threw a ton at you, and I don't expect for you to contain all of this knowledge within the first hour because it's a lot. And took me years to learn, and basically I'm throwing it to you in a day. But no pressure. I'm just kidding. You take your time doing this, and if you don't get any icons up by the end of the day, no worries, no big deal. Really, not a big deal at all. And just do what you can, have fun, enjoy each of the things, and we'll talk tomorrow sometime. All right, enjoy.